slowly bring that chili level up with one bit at a time. Which I did make a mistake once, and I went a bit hardcore. I thought my wife was ready for the scorpion, and she weren't. She didn't talk to me for a week. Seriously, for a whole week, she didn't speak to me. I thought I was going to be kicked out.
It funny. Can you share a specific dish or a moment that changed the way you thought about barbecue when you maybe it was ribs or brisket or something? Which barbecue
That's
did
a
you
really good
taste?
question. What one?
Mango ham barbecue, mango ham barbecue, mango ham barbecue, mango ham barbecue. Get your barbecue on, get your barbecue on, get your barbecue.
Welcome to the BBQ Therapy podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant of Yago Ham Barbecue. Have you ever stood around a smoker or a grill and felt the world fade away? Now that's barbecue therapy. All right, welcome to another episode of the Barbecue Therapy podcast. Today on the podcast, we're joined by Russ from Smokey Rebel. He's the founder of Smokey Rebel and the Pitmaster who took his backyard in Kent and turned it into a global flavor journey, from building his first smoker by hand to learning from legends in Texas and spice masters in Southeast Asia. Russ blends both barbecue with worldwide inspiration. We'll talk about how Smokey Rebel was born, why flavor should spark curiosity, and how a cheeky raccoon named Smokey became the face of the brand. And that's all about barbecue without borders. Welcome to the show. Like I tell everybody, I got one rule: make yourself at home, speak freely. I have no sponsors. You can say whatever you want.
Well, that's dangerous. Thanks for having us.
No problem. No problem. You're a first international person. Take us back to where it all started, back in the backyard at Kent. How did you discover barbecue? Were you taught? Did you learn by yourself, or?
Well, it was bad, and it all actually started with him getting into the American football as his first love in the 80s. And then he decided that he's going to take us to Florida, was the first place. In 93, it was me, my brother, and my mum. And there we discovered barbecue, sloppy joes, mojo, key lime pie, all this stuff. And obviously your other staples. But we just fell in love with it. And my dad really was the one who brought that back with him, because I was 10 at the time. So he went out and got like a vertical smoker, started doing it in Kent and wrecking a lot of food. So, but then finding a lot of success as well. And back then, obviously, there wasn't many access, or rather access to stuff to actually learn. But he used to do it with what we brought back. And then subsequent years, we went back and we made great family friends that become very close, and would talk to my dad over AOL, like the old dial-up net on email, sending him recipes and stuff like that. And I then obviously grew up and become their friends, and they taught me. So I owe it to my dad and his friends, really, who are now my close friends. And they've ever since then gave me tips and tricks, and they're just your backyard guys, back grillers that it's just been in their culture forever. So a lot of them are Mexican American, Portuguese American. So I sit in the Latino sort of side of stuff of food for myself. That's where I'm at, and Billy can tell you that I've had more horchatas than I've had cups of tea now. So I'm hooked on it. I can't stop drinking it. But yeah, and really that's where it all come from. And then I took it a step further up, like you say. I started making my own like smokers. They more of a bodge job back then, and when we finally got my own place as well, my dad bought us my first smoker and grill and stuff like that, and it was your normal brands and whatever he could get hold of. And I've gone up through the ranks, and now in the UK, I love the pellet grill because we can get the right woods with the pellet grill. It's quite hard to source the right woods, and oak is oak, I get it, but post oak and the oaks that you guys have got here are different to English oak. It does give it a different taste. So yeah, so progressed into that way. Really, is the way it went.
So back then, when you first started, and I guess when you got your first grill, how numerous were grills out there? Did they have a lot of different grills, or it was hard to find a grill back at that time?
Oh yeah, back then, I think my dad actually, because he joined up soon as a Costco opened up,
Oh wow.
He joined up the Costco, and that opened up a door for us into certainly even US meats were imported a lot more back then as well, and he got a lot of grills that way. But other than that, it was just your really box standard type of grills that people would burn their what we call bangers on sausages and burgers. British barbecue, yeah, it can be great. It's come a long way now, but back then on the mass, it was just burn what you can. So, but we were lucky with the Costco. Really, that changed our lives and opened up a big door. So thank you, Costco. Since I can say anything,
Yeah. What do those early cooks that you did back in the day teach you about patience, fire control, and building flavors?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And I think that's one thing that you always learn the hard way. And even now, when guys talk to me about it, they never really get that concept at first. And I didn't, nor did my dad. It's all on patience, believing in the process, and your thermometer or your fem pen or whatever you got, and then them elements then give you the great barbecue. But yeah, I think we the amount of food that we messed up was unbelievable.
You cooked in some legendary barbecue regions like Texas, Carolina, and Kansas. What did each place teach you about not just barbecue flavors, but the stories behind them?
Each place, and I think one of the things being British and looking into the US and the different states is how different each state is, and each technique and process is different as well. So for me personally, obviously Texas is where barbecue's at, and that's not because it's trending. That's just where barbecue is in my flavor profiles, and that's the Latino side of stuff mainly as well. It's coming into the barbecue a lot more now because many years ago when we come to Texas, it was more of your sort of old school barbecue, and there wasn't any cues. Seeing that change from an outside is quite a interesting thing to see. So with the other like Kansas and Carolina, the differences are massive, really, and the process is again different, and the culture behind it amazes me. And I think a lot of people that haven't visited from outside the states don't really fully understand that until they get here and have that amazing experience themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Texas, like it's a whole experience. I'm waiting to go there myself.
Exactly, and there's just so much more to barbecue here as well, and it's that southern hospitality is amazing, and I love the Texan people because of how they've welcomed me and my family over the years, and I can't fault it. That goes for the other states, but Texas, you're winning.
Yeah, I definitely understand that because if so, like I say on every episode, some of the friendliest people. Blues Hall, Tim Shear, they invited me to the NASCAR to help them, and I asked to help him just to meet people and just to get an atmosphere of how he operates, just to learn. And I got to experience how NASCAR was, and they invited me in to see the NASCAR races and stuff like that. But most of them just meet me for the first time, but they took the time to invite me out and let me experience how it is to how he deal with business and how he promote himself and all that. It allows me to learn. I was out there helping them, and but it's also promoting them, but it's also promoting me because I'm learning,
Mm.
even though I'm helping them and working with them. So it's
Yeah,
definitely a great atmosphere. People roll out the red carpet to help you and tell you what they know. Most folks, some people hide, but some people will tell you information that you need to know because at the end of the day, you still got to be better with them when it comes to competing and stuff like that. But it's a definitely community driven atmosphere as far as when it comes to barbecue.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely, and I think that's it. And I think just touching on what you said there, I think I've, with sharing information and knowledge is key to making barbecue and life in general better, I think. And I, like you said, it's not just about you doing it better than them. It's about being yourself. So if you're yourself and you've got your own take, you're always going to be different. And there's room for everyone, right? That's what it's a big place. And there's what is there, 300 million people in the US alone. You ain't going to feed all of them. You just need your little crowd that believe in you, and
yeah,
that's it. That's what we believe in anyway. And certainly here it feels like that.
yeah, definitely, because everybody got different taste buds. So what might be good for me might be different for you and different from him. So it's everybody. has room to enjoy, and everybody enjoy their flavors and they take on barbecue, because some people like traditional, but some people don't like traditional. Some people like to spice it up, and there's other people that like people to spice it up and try different things. There's definitely enough for everybody out there.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. And you mentioned you went to Southeast Asia and it changed the game for you. What did you discover about smoke and spices out there that help you?
Well, I've discovered many parts of the world, especially Southeast Asia, is cooking over fire and with fire is a daily routine for people that live in. That there are many different levels of technology in these areas, and some are not there yet. So the traditions of fire cooking are everyday thing. So them flavors are naturally infused in a lot of their cooking, and the spice levels are off the chart. There's a lot of different varieties out there, obviously, and there's dishes that would be impossible to recreate outside of Asia because you just can't get them ingredients. And that's the one thing in England as well, certainly growing up, that we noticed over the years was how more the ingredients started coming through. And only in recent years now, with a few of the chilies, even like the guajillo now is something that's on in people's heads, and you can get it in England now. And in the past, that was something that you had to hunt out. And Asia still feels a bit like that with a lot of their chilies. You're still not seeing them, and you won't do. But to go round, and it was up through Indonesia that I travelled, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, all of these places, again, completely different to each other. And
Mm-hmm.
you would learn that a lot of these guys would actually have this fusion that I like. So the Cambodians, for example, they had the French over there for a very long time. So they eat a lot of curries with baguettes and cheese, which really took me back because the rest of the many other parts in Asia, they stick away from dairy products because of the heat. So there isn't any cheese in any of their ingredients. So yeah, it's things like that really started getting my mind going as I grew up about actually crossing over flavors, bringing different parts of the world together. And like I said, having no borders, because you
Mm-hmm.
find a lot of stuff goes hand in hand. So the flavors in Asia still blow my mind. And I don't think even in a lifetime, I certainly wouldn't be able to discover all of the food. There'll be always something new to eat when you go to Asia.
But that's definitely good on your part, because you can make something that's universal for everything and not just for USA or not just for the UK. But what you have is, for since you've been around to everywhere, you can make something that's good for everybody across the board, or no matter what meat they eat or vegetable or anything like that. So that's definitely an advantage on your part.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've seen. We've seen that with the rubs as well. Is even in the UK, is it's regional. So up north, I'm sorry, I'm going to shout out the Northerners. They're absolutely amazing, and they're banging out some great tacos, but there's no heat to it, and they'll bring that heat down. And then if you go into your London areas where you've got a little bit more of a diversity of different people from different cultures, you get a little bit more heat. But then when you come outside of that, it's even the same in the US. You go around into the Mexican areas, you're going to start getting that heat, and you start going into other areas, you're going to start getting that less heat. So yeah, definitely that, and it's just bringing it across. When I cook Asian food at home for my family, what I whip up for myself is very different. What I whip up for my wife and my boys, because they're just, I'm training them with the level of heat, but what I do is I poison them slowly. That's what I've learned. Slowly bring that chili level up with one bit at a time. Which I did make a mistake once, and I went a bit hardcore. I thought my wife was ready for the scorpion, and she weren't. She didn't talk to me for a week. Seriously, for a whole week, she didn't speak to me. I thought I was going to get kicked out.
It was funny. Can you share a specific dish or a moment that changed the way you thought about barbecue, when you, maybe it was ribs or brisket or something? Which barbecue did
That's a
you
really good
taste?
question. What one? That's the thing. What changed my mind, really, or way I thought about it, would actually be quite recently, actually, and that would be with the Shorts Pit Room, and with Robert over there and Bill Dumas doing their things. So you got Bill with his sausages, and eating his sausages just took me to. I was like, wow, how do you get that into a sausage? because he's got all crazy types of recipes. And I think at that point he done with us, he done a British roast lamb sausage, and he got all the elements of the roast dinner into the sausage.
Oh, wow.
It just took me. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think you could have, because he's very big on the visuals as well. So he put the visuals into it, and then with Robert there with his chicken and the way that he gets the smoke into it and crisps up that skin as well. It changed a lot of my view on barbecue, and I think as well for that, because I hadn't been back for quite a while, on how far barbecue's come from the old school traditional to new fusion and trying different things. A sausage with roast dinner, but smoked. This is where it's going, or where it's gone. And I was just like, wow, there you go. So that as recent as that for me in the change.
Yeah, that's good. We're gonna start in talking about the Smokey Rebel. What inspired you to turn your barbecuing journey into a brand and make you start your own brand?
So I used to have a catering business doing barbecue, and it was called Odin's Cookhouse, and it was Viking themed, as you can see by my hair. I fancy myself as Thor, and I'm nothing like him, but I like to pretend I look like him. But anyway, it was Viking themed, and we could do wild food, so boar, venison, and all the other staples: pulled beef, smoked brisket. But brisket's different in the UK, certainly back then when I started that out, because this was probably over 16 years ago. So it was more pulled, because we haven't got the grain-fed brisket. So it's better to boat it and put it in a sandwich. And no one knew what it was. So we went from that to, actually, I don't know if I can keep up work, because there was 2 jobs at the time to support the family, and it was a weekend. And then Ralphie come along, my other son, and I thought I need to turn this business into something where I'll have more time. So I did that, and I have less time now with the Smokey Rebel. But here we are. But that was the thought. The thought behind it was that I would be able to be more available for the family. But it didn't go that way, and it hasn't gone that way. And one day it will, I'm sure. But that's why we're all here, right? But I thought to myself, let's do something where I'm putting all of everything I've picked up over the years into a can, so people don't have to worry about top ingredients, no fillers or additives and stuff like that. And they know everything that's in there has come from experience, and only the best has gone into it. And then while I was processing all of that, my wife said, why don't you stick it in a can? And then that's where we are. That's where we are now. So we've got these flavors in a can. And that's how Smokey Rebel was born. Before COVID hit, slowed me down a bit, because obviously we didn't know what was going on. So we were looking at ways of getting this product out at the time. Mm-hmm. And then the online all went crazy. I wasn't really big on Instagram. I'm 42. So I was more of a Facebook sort of era, but I never really enjoyed it. So I didn't really get it. So I missed that boat on that social push of everyone being at home and trying to communicate with everyone. To be honest, having a family, I was quite happy in my little pod. So we started getting that out, and as getting yourself out there in this day and age seems to be the way to go to grow, really, is if people don't know about you, you don't exist. And if you don't take a picture of your food, it never happened. That's what it seems like now, really.
That's definitely true. All right, but it's definitely good. The different social medias that they have, it's hard to understand stuff like TikTok and all that. But
yeah, TikTok.
mean,
help me if there's anyone out there can help me with TikTok. I don't get it. So.
I know that's right. Smokey Rebel rubs are more than just seasoning. It's a philosophy behind them. What makes your blend stand out different from everybody else's?
That's a great question, and that's something we found out in England, but more so in the US, was how nuanced the rubs are. So a lot of our ingredients, stuff that's just not really on the market, like there'll be, or at least in one of the rubs, there's a spice that's just not commonly used, and that's not on purpose. That's just come from my experience. We got, for example, sumac in one of our rubs, which is the hickory hog. And that just cuts across to give it that bacony flavour because we haven't got anything artificial. So it gives it that sort of bacony hit with the smoke, and it's a citrusy flavour. But it really works with with the hickory salt that's in there. And that one, obviously, I just thought procuring it in the past hasn't really been a problem on that one, but in the US, it's something that's not really used. So it's quite interesting with that. So what makes us stand out is the fact that we haven't made our rubs around what's available. It's what's important to the recipe and what the recipe is. And it's to our detriment as well, because there's some rubs that have never come out, and there's some rubs that nearly didn't come out. So the Al Pastor in the UK side is, for us, we wanted real pineapple, for example, like a real fruit pineapple, ready available, natural flavorings, obviously. But it nearly killed me finding real pineapple. And I got a sauce and we ship that in and we blend it now.
Mm-hmm.
But that one, that wouldn't have gone ahead. I would have never said, let's do a natural pineapple, that like flavoring. That would have just been completely against our ethos. And that's just personal preference. There's nothing wrong, or I'm not anti, you mustn't eat anything other than natural. I'm certainly not a crusader. But for me and the product, it's got to have that quality, and it's got to be real. And that's what we're trying to keep it. And it's strict to. Sometimes we step back and say, is this Smokey Rebel? Is this real? As in, even from the ingredients to us. And I look at Willie T and we say to each other, is this real? This is real, it's Smokey Rebel, and we go with it. So what makes us stand out is we're real from the core to the ingredients.
Okay, definitely. Since we're talking about the rubs, we're going to go through the rubs and you can explain a little bit about each one. Of course, we got the Cherry Force, which Willie is the man behind. And if y'all can explain about that one again for those that don't know.
The Cherry Force. This is Blanco. I love this dog. I lost my dog on the way out here. My love of my life, Odin, and Blanco's made it a lot better for me, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
I was very emotional when I got here, and I've been looking in Blanco's eyes. But anyway, she's come to say hello. But yeah, the Cherry Force. The Cherry Force is a really interesting one because I've never mixed a cherry rub, and I had no intentions of doing it either. Like I say, we're always real, so it's not ever look out there and see what's working. Shall we do that rub? It's never been that for us. But we met Willie T a couple of years ago now, and we hit it off. And he said to me, when we joined up, we said to each other, I said, what rub do you want to do? And he said, a cherry rub. And I thought, oh my goodness. Oh, where am I going to get cherry from? The first thing. So we worked on the blend together, which is completely Willie's blend. Like I say, it's not my blend. We worked together on it, and we get over the humps together. And the biggest hump was the cherry. Actually finding and sourcing real cherry, even in the UK, isn't easy. So that one, we worked together, we got it all going, we redefined it, we tested it a million times, and on every single bit of protein and vegetable you can think of, and there'll be still stuff we've missed, but we rigorously tested it, and we got it to where Willie and I were both happy, because we had to both be happy on it, obviously. And it's Smokey Rebel, it's real, it's Willie's, who is a rebel, 100% rebel. He was happy with what we've come up with, and then we give the nod, and then that was it. Cherry Force was born, and I do believe, I think we're pretty much, I don't quote us on this, but I think we're pretty much the only one that actually uses real cherry. And
right.
I don't know why.
Hey, got to be different.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the SPG.
Yes, SPG, that's been my base, obviously, for many years. And it's just where I like it. It's a blend where the salt and the pepper is where I like it. Is it any different to others? You be the judge. SPG, they say is SPG. The salt in it is a high-grade salt, and the grain's a little bit bigger because I like that penetration into the meat. And also, with SPG, you're normally whacking that on during the cook or just before it. So I wanted something that would hit quite hard and not disappear when you hit that grill, which is what the big grains do give you. That there'll certainly be some left on it, and that's part of that rub success, I do believe. But for me, in my cooking anyway. So yeah, that's the SPG.
Okay, and next one I have is Hickory Hog Pork Rub. You did a little bit about that, but you can explain anything else you have about that one.
Definitely. Yeah, we've gone over the sumac with that one. Again, with most of these rubs, the difference in that is a bit of sumac and actually real hickory salt. So a lot out there will use oils, and I'm not casting a shadow. It's expensive stuff. Real salt, smoked salt, is expensive because of the process of actually smoking it. And then that salt, we actually smoke and ship that in ourselves to the UK because, like I say, there's not much hickory in the UK at all. In fact, I found one tree, and that was in Bedgebury Park, and I've got a picture of me and the family. But it's one little hickory tree. It looks terrible because it's missing the sun. In fact, it looks a bit small. But yes, there's not much hickory, so we get that done here, shipped over, and it will be the same for the US when we're here.
And the Wingman Wing Rub.
The Wingman Wing Rub. Now that one is what I like to call a Latin style barbecue crossover. So that one, and all of them, I don't believe in cayenne. And again, not against cayenne, but cayenne is a great chef's trick to put in heat to stuff that you don't want the flavour of a chili, because cayenne doesn't have any flavour, it's just heat. So with the Wingman, the blend, I want the flavour of the chilies that are in there, and that sort of more traditional barbecue flavour, but more swinging over the Mex border, only a little bit. So that's the Wingman. It's great on chicken, and we put Wingman because we just want to give people an idea what to stick it on. That's why we call it the Wingman. And I don't know if we've got one here actually, but he actually looks a bit like Tom Cruise, the Smokey Rebel. That's because I look like Tom Cruise sometimes, I tell myself.
All right, a Revolution Beef Rub.
The Revolution Beef Rub, that's my take on my visits to Texas, but with more the Mex. So I call it Mex Tex. So it's more predominantly, obviously, with the Mexican chilies in it, and then the salt and pepper, which is pretty much Texas. It really, you talk to the old school guys, they go, "Oh, that's all you need, salt and pepper. Just put salt and pepper on, and I'm done." So that's the Texas reference. And then with the cans, I give a bit of fun. Again, I don't think we've got one here to show you, but that one's a nod to the Alamo. And Smokey Rebel, the raccoon, is Davy Crockett's little hat on a big ball.
Yeah. Very festive cans, and the design is I like them. It stands out from everybody else's. The Al Pastor Taco Rub.
So Al Pastor, the Al Pastor I learned from my dad's friend, and like I say, they've had a hand in all of the rubs like over the years. But Al Pastor was specifically to Luis, he lives in Florida, but he grew up in Mexico City, and he would always tell me stories about that because he knows a bit about our culture. After we have a drink in England, I'm not going that way anymore, but most people would go for a kebab after having a drink, and that's what basically an Al Pastor is. It's a similar process. So that's where I learnt them flavours from, with the achiote and the pineapple that nearly killed me, and guajillo and all stuff like that. It was Luis that introduced me to that, and I love the history. So that can's actually Tipioca, the Jaguar god, Smokey Rebel, and he's an Aztec. So it's a nod to them guys. Although Al Pastor means shepherd, more translates that way, because of the way that the Lebanese used to, the trompo is what the Mexicans call it, is the shawarma with the kebab where they flick the meat off. So that's the technique they use for that. So, like I said, it's all of these cross references that bring the cans together for me and different experiences. And that's a nod to Luis and his days of having a few drinks and eating a kebab in Mexico City, the Al Pastor.
Okay. Next, we have the Texas Red Chili Mix.
That one is completely Bill's. So we got this one here. There, you can see him there. That's Bill doing
yeah.
Smokey Rebel. You can see straight away. Yeah, and that's completely his chili mix, and it's a Texas Red. So he, again, same process that we went through with Willie here. He told me the fundamentals of the dish, and then I worked on the blend side of the dish. So what we wanted with that one was a real Texas chili, no additives, and you don't need much more to add to it. So that one is just add in your tomatoes and bell peppers and onions, and you're pretty much good, and your meat, obviously, your protein, and you're pretty much good to go. And it saves all that blending. It's packed full of guajillos and all sorts.
Okay. Chipotle Cowboy Chicken.
Chipotle Cowboy Chicken. Now that one's the artwork on that's a nod to my granddad because he used to love John Wayne, and it was actually called Chipotle chicken at first, but it confused everyone because they thought it just goes on chicken. But it is great on chicken, and it is obviously chipotle. There's some paprika in that. There's onion, mustard, all of your classics to give you a bit of a chicken rub. But we called it the chipotle chicken, and that was in my crazy head a bit of banter to Texas about the chicken fried steak that's got no chicken in it, because I think, oh, this is great on beef as well, on my fajitas. And I'm like, yeah, of course. We called it that because of this, and no one really got it. So we changed the name to Chipotle Cowboy, mainly for the UK guys, really.
Okay. And the Greek Odyssey Euro rub.
Yeah, Greek Odyssey. You call it gyros, gyros. Everyone calls it different ones, different names, and that's a Greek kebab, different to the Turkish kebab. And that comes from my time again with my family in Greece, Crete, Sparta, Athens, all places like that. They've all got a dip again. They're all different regions to tell you different ways of doing it. And I Smokey Rebel fired that one. They don't really like heat in their food, but I like a little kick through it. So there's a little tiny bit of an underlining heat just to keep it warm and give you that flavour. Again, no cayenne. But that's a secret ingredient, that one, which is one of the nuances that's in that. And we've been having much fun getting sourced here.
Okay. Miami Mojo Citrus Blend.
Miami Mojo, the Miami Mojo for me is very nostalgic because, like I say, that's the first place I visited from a child was Florida and Miami, and that's why for all my sins I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I'm sorry, but that's why I picked him up. My dad, this May I picked up the Dolphins because it was Oakland Raiders. No, sorry. It was LA Raiders when he picked him up. Then it was Oakland, and now they've moved up to Vegas. But anyway, the Mojo is that's where I learned it, in Miami. And again, with Mojo, it's Cuban. There's a big community down there of Cubans. Mojo's really big. They don't really like spice. I've put habanero in it because I like that spice. And not only that, there's actually a bit of a reference to that. The habanero used to be cultivated, or still is, but it used to be cultivated in Havana, which that's what habanero means. And they used to send that to the Mexicans. Obviously, now they're cultivating it themselves, but they didn't really put it in food. They used to just ship it to Mexico. So the mojo's in a lot of other Mexican dishes as well because of that crossover of cultures. So yeah, the mojo, what a nostalgic rub for me, one that I probably used the most, if I'm being honest, just because that's where I'm at. Is it my favourite? No, they're all my babies, but that's probably the one I use the most and my go-to.
Okay. Holy jalapeno fajita seasoning.
The holy jalapeno. Now, in the UK, the jalapenos have a strength of a bell pepper, and that's because most of it's cultivated in the Netherlands and it's first crop. And they do it on purpose a bit because most of the guys in Europe and the UK can't handle a Zinger Tower meal. I don't know if you guys have them, the KFC Zinger Tower meal. They sweat on them. So they tried to keep it more like a bell pepper. And it's, sorry, Northerners of England, that's made for them. So I wanted a real jalapeno. So we sourced the jalapeno from Mexico. It's got that strength. It's got that jalapeno because that jalapeno hit. And what I like about it is you know where the Scovilles are sitting on that, but each crop is different, and we have a range of where we know it's going to be in between on that one. So if you do like your jalapenos and you want real ones, then the holy jalapeno fajita rub is where it's at.
Okay, and the last one is Spitfire Spice Blend Rub.
Spitfire Spice Blend Rub. Now that one has ghost pepper in it, which I would have thought would have been easy for us to find here in the US, but it's apparently no one wants to touch it. So it's been quite interesting. But the ghost pepper is actually from Northeast India, and that flavour is, I like to call it like a central sort of barbecue like flavour. It's not Texan, it's not really anywhere in other than just what you'd expect from a barbecue, but with the Smokey Rebel twist of a bit of ghost pepper and a few other little secrets in there to bring it out. Once people eat it, they do actually really enjoy it, and they realise that it's just how much you put on to what heat level you're at. If you load it, then yeah, your socks are gonna fly off, but it's never gonna be over the point of unenjoyable or not make it tasty. because it's there for a reason. With any heat, it's all about balancing it out and making sure that the pain's worth the flavour. But there isn't any pain to it, to be honest. It's all balanced out, and you don't need to put too much on. My family all eat it. My boys eat it. My wife eat it. And like I said, I nearly killed her with a scorpion, and they love that one. But that one's the Spitfire. It's called Spitfire because it's the 131 Kent Spitfire Squadron, and that's where I'm born and raised. And you can trace that squadron back to northeast India, where the ghost pepper eventually was cultivated.
Okay. And which one of them was the first one that you created? Which seasoning?
The first one was the chipotle chicken, chipotle cowboy, because I wanted that mix hit like a real fajita and crossover into chicken, because chicken's my favourite thing to eat.
Okay. And which one is the most popular, and which one is the most underrated that you think?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's a good question. The most popular, and this is the UK, is SPG, because like I said, and again, I'm not going to cast a shadow on the guys from the UK. They can't handle chili to save their lives. I'm sorry, guys, it's the truth. So they see SPG and they go, okay, salt, pepper, garlic, I'm going to be safe with that. So that's the most popular, and the most underrated is definitely the Spitfire, because people, the only reason it's underrated is they don't ever get to try it. And when we're at events and we put it in their mouths, they're big believers of it.
Okay. Let's talk about Smokey the Raccoon. Where did the idea come from, and what does he represent?
Smokey the Raccoon. I absolutely love raccoons. Raccoons are my favourite animal of all time. So I wanted to find a spirit animal for barbecue, and obviously it was easy for me with the raccoon being my favourite animal. I was like, hang on a minute, that completely is what barbecue is to me. It's shenanigans, having fun, being cheeky, and watching them. That they can be very loving, but they can also be very aggressive. And again, it's a bit of a joke that the fact that most people in Texas hate them with love, and I think that's me really. So I thought I'll go with a raccoon, and it raccoonifies barbecue for me. And they're just funny animals. So it was actually my friend that drew him, and she's great at drawing at Smokey. It took a while. When I first asked her to do it, she drew a little chubby, almost looked like a chipmunk, because I said make it look like me. So that's maybe how to do it. But then I made him a bit slimmer.
Yeah, my favorite designs is the Al Pastor, and of course the Miami Moho.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's it, right? So the idea is he goes across into, he's everyone and everyone. He's not me. Smokey Rebel's not me. The idea is he's me. He's Willie T. He's Bill. And he's even you. He's everyone that just wants to have great food and a great time and fun.
Okay. And how did you come up with the concept of the pop top can, and what was the response that you've been getting from the can?
I've got to give it to my wife. It was completely my wife's idea. She said, before COVID, she said, when you do your rubs, why don't you put them in a can? And I said, it sounds like a good idea. She said what she was thinking was the idea was we was going to put a target on the label. She said, put a target on the label and people can shoot them like with Nerf guns or whatever they got and shoot them off for a bit of fun. And it went from there. And then when I actually researched it, it's actually better in a can. One, it keeps it fresher, because when we do can them, it's all canned to temperature, and the environment that it's canned in, it will stay in that environment. So you don't get sunlight on them, which sunlight degrades. Even your lights in your kitchen will degrade spice over time, and it's a little bit more environmental friendly. They're a lot easier to recycle. They go back into the system once they go into recycling, and they're cool. They look cool. They're a talking point. We wanted something that people would be happy to display as well in their pit, and that's why we went with a raccoon as well, because it's something that you want to put on the side. And one of my customers was a sweet old lady in England, or she still is. I haven't seen her for a while, but she come up to me and she said, Joe, I love your spices. They're great. I use them all the time. It was shocked me because this is an English old lady, so it took me back a bit. So I've told you about not being able to hand spices, but she could. And she said, but they make me smile every day, and I've got them out on my kitchen top, and they make me smile. So I was like, wow, that's exactly what we wanted. So that was a win for me.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, you wanted to spark curiosity, but definitely seeing the can and seeing the design on it is going to attract your attention, because you're looking at an owl everybody have the same lettering, the same basic colors and stuff like that, and all of it's going to blend together. But if you see the can with the bright colors and the drawing on it, it's going
Yeah,
to attract your attention to those cans and say, okay, this is different. Well, I'm going to try this. But
yeah.
it,
And it comes from being true and real as well. I'm not normal. I never have been, and I think that's something that's always I've found hard in life. I've got, it's not diagnosed, but I've definitely got ADHD, and that crosses over into autism and all these things, and I can't spell or add up, and I've found ways around it. And I've always been different, and that's always been a sticking point in my life. But now I'm found a way to turn that into a positive. And the cans haven't been designed to be eye catching, although they are. They've been designed true to us and what we want, and we've gone against a lot of recommendations. Like everyone will tell you not to put it in a can. Everyone will tell you need to do this, and the label has to be the same. And I think I've never done that in my life, and I'm still here at 42. Nothing much to shout about yet, but and I'm still going to keep cruising like that. So we'll always do it our way and be fiercely independent and go with what we believe in. And integrity is the number one thing. And that's hopefully what comes across in the cans in my mind. But these guys, they're doing it their way. And they're not trying to be different. They actually are.
okay, okay. That's definitely. If someone's picking up Smokey Rebel for the first time, what would be the blend that you recommend for them to get as they first try?
My normal answer to that is, if I get to speak to people, is I say, where are you at on flavours? Do you like sweet? Do you like smoky? Do you like spicy? Because we've got them all. But I would have to say, just go with the mojo, because that one for me, one personally is nostalgic, and then two, it's very versatile, and it'll bring you straight into the Smokey Rebel world of what we're about, really, which is completely different.
Okay. You said that you just don't make rubs for smokers. They work in ovens, air fryer, grills. Why was that versatility so important to you?
I think a lot of people are not blessed to have one, time, two, money, or even three, the space. Time probably being a big factor. We've got our pellet smokers now, but in reality, scheduling that into most of our lives, it can be sometimes a bit more of a mission rather than a chore. So these guys are made to as well that you could just slap them in your, and I do, and others do, straight into your air fryer, your crock pots, slow cookers, in the kitchen. They turn around popcorn, because you can put them on after cooking as well, because they're all A grade spices. So there's nothing in there that's going to hurt you, and they've gone through the regulations, so they're safe. So it was important that really we wanted everyone included, because even if you can't barbecue, you want to be barbecuing in spirit, and sometimes you have to barbecue in spirit in your kitchen or wherever you can.
That's definitely true. That's definitely true because most people may live in an apartment or they may not have time to grill because I got a 13-month-old, so I don't have time to grill no more. So you definitely still want to be able to use your products and enjoy them, even though you're not able to go out there and grill like you used to. It's definitely good that you thought about it to be versatile and you can
Actually,
use
my
it.
first test is on the first test is in the kitchen, because that's actually probably where they shine through more and you see the value. Because let's face it, bad barbecue's good, right? You're putting in, you're enhancing it with the wood and the smoke and the flavour of barbecue and the charcoal and everything else, or whatever you're using is going to enhance it, anything. But where they shine through is in the kitchen, where you go, wow, you know what? That's all I need. I don't need to be blending stuff, especially with the mojos and the al pastors. You can throw your blender out once you've got a can of that. You just chuck it on and you're gone. So that was very important to that for us.
Yeah, definitely, because you're a business also, and you got to reach the most people you can. And only doing something for barbecue, you're reaching a small portion of people.
Hmm.
But if you make it for everybody, that opens the whole new horizon for you that anybody can go to the
Well,
store and get it.
and most people in the UK don't. It's an even smaller number of people that really do truly barbecue. And you got your guys that turn up when the sun's out. We call them the fair weather barbecuers. But then you've got a really small amount of people that actually get out there in all weathers. But it's, yeah, I think it's being realistic and real. Again, like I say, it's about being real. Should you feel bad that you're going to cook something in the kitchen? No, being cool and barbecuing is cool, but in reality, it's not always possible to get out there with your shades and look good while you're cooking. Although I still look magnificent when I'm cooking in the kitchen, I make sure of that. I still have to. But it's all about what's real. Again, what's real. We want some tasty food because I believe that makes you happier as well in life. Eating good food is good for you. Maybe not healthily. These are all vegan, and not that I am. And I just want to point out that I always say these are vegan friendly. I'm friendly to vegans, but not vegan friendly. It's about a healthy balance with your diet, and they're certainly not going to hurt you slapping that on some food for a treat or even through the week.
Yes, definitely. So it seems like you got a very good lineup. We're going to switch over to something different and then we're going to wrap it up. What I came up with is a bracket, like a college basketball. They had the tournament bracket. So I made 16 different meats that you put on the grill, and I just got them randomly done. And you just tell me which one you prefer to eat. First matchup is steak versus smoked ham.
Oh, steak.
Okay. Next matchup, pork ribs versus smoked turkey.
Smoked turkey.
Okay. Next matchup, burnt ends versus pork chop.
Burnt ends.
Okay. Hot dog versus brisket.
Brisket.
Okay. Hamburger versus sausage.
Oh, that's a hard one. And I'm only because of that recent change on sausage, because we have terrible sausages in England. I'm going to say sausage now.
All right. Lamb versus pork belly.
Lamb.
Okay. Beef ribs versus smoked bologna.
Beef ribs.
Okay. Barbecue shrimp versus smoked chicken.
Oh, that's two of my favourites, but I'll go with chicken.
All right. Next round, we got steak versus smoked turkey.
Smoked turkey.
Okay. Next round, we got burnt ends versus brisket.
Burnt ends.
Okay. And we got sausage versus lamb.
Lamb.
Beef ribs versus chicken.
Chicken.
Okay. Final four, we got turkey versus burnt ends.
Turkey.
Okay. Lamb versus chicken.
Chicken.
Okay. And the final, chicken versus turkey.
Chicken. I love chicken.
All right, Russ, your therapy session is over. If you got anything to promote, if you could tell people how to get your products,
I'll just check us out. Check us out. SmokeyRebel.com. We're getting everything in the works to be launching in the US, and that process has been fun and exciting. We hope that you can come along, discover us, and support us, and see what we're all about, and become a rebel, become the raccoon. SmokeyRebel.com. On Instagram and your Facebook, not TikTok so much. So I'm there, but you'll see I'm not there. Yeah.
Definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to trying because they look exciting, they're different, and you got a good thing going. So definitely when they come
We'll
over
get you
here,
some over. We'll ship you some over as a thanks for being
no problem. But I definitely appreciate you coming on and telling us about yourself and what you're doing and promoting yourself and just giving some of your time to educate others on what you know and to help others by making your products helps other people lives easier. So we definitely appreciate you coming on.
No, back at you, and thanks. It's been a real pleasure. I've enjoyed it. I love that game. It's confirmed to me that chicken is the love of my life.
Definitely. You hear different answers and it tells people have different tastes and stuff like that because surprisingly bologna won a few times. So everybody has different tastes. So
that's it. That's it. Taste is subjective, and eat what you like, and don't let anyone tell you any different. That's my final wise words, if there's been any.
Definitely. And thank you, Smoking Willie. for helping
You're having me on
arrange this.
again.
And
For being here,
like I said,
listening to Russ.
I need him here to make sure I don't say anything. But then when you said well, I could say what I liked, he was really like he weren't needed. He's the PR. Making sure.
he fine. 'Cause I pay, hey, I paid for this service. I got it the whole year, so ain't nobody cutting me off. So I definitely appreciate y'all. And like I said, I told Willie, if y'all have anybody else that want to come promote themselves or anything they have, definitely reach out and let them know. And tell Mr. Dumas he want to come through. Definitely. So, hey, definitely appreciate y'all.
Tell him I said sausage though at the end. Please.
All right. Thank y'all, and we'll see y'all next. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the BBQ Therapy Podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant. Please tune in to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and any streaming platform near you. Please pay the secretary on your way out, and we'll see you next episode.